Hey, this is Andrew Brown, and today we're going to be taking a look at LightSail, which is a virtual private server. Basically, it is competing with something like maybe what GoDaddy would do for setting up very simple servers where things are abstracted away. Personally, I think that it's always just better to utilize database services directly, but basically, this is a easier UI where the services you cannot access them normally through AWS, even though you're just launching up EC2 containers and things like that. But anyway, let's take a look and see what we have. So notice on the left-hand side, we have instances, containers, databases, networking, storage, domain and DNS, and snapshots. So I was wondering, can you register domains? Yep, you can. So you can register domains through here. So that's kind of interesting. And so basically, again, it's just an abstraction on top of existing services. Let's go ahead and create an instance and see what options we have. So we are clicking that to create an instance. We have Linux and we have Microsoft with some blueprints underneath. We'll go over to Linux. And so we have a bunch of options. We have WordPress, Magento, Joomla, Nginx, LAMP, all the classic stuff that we haven't seen in a while. But maybe we can go ahead and launch something like Joomla, which seems really silly to me, but we could do that because it is completely an option. You can see that we can add a launch script, which basically is the user data underneath. We can set key pairs just like we would in EC2. Then down below here, we have select networking type mode, so dual stack IPv6. So the more you learn about AWS, it's very clear what they're abstracting away here. Here we have a pricing model that is simplified, so we just choose what we want, and we have some free tiers down below. This one is running what? And we don't exactly know. Maybe it's a T2 micro. I can't really tell based on this, but we'll go ahead and maybe just go to a second size larger. If you're worried about spend, don't launch this up, but you'll see there's 3 months free. So I'm actually going to go to this size just so I have a larger instance. We'll choose Joomla here, and we'll go ahead and create ourselves an instance. So pretty straightforward so far. So that is going to launch up. We also have options for containers. And I'm just going to scroll down. We're just going to look at the UI. We don't necessarily have to launch stuff in here, but you can see we are going to choose the size of the container, the amount of scale here. We have some options to set up our initial deployment. So that is really cool. We can go over to databases here, and we can create a database. So MySQL or Postgres, very straightforward. So yeah, again, this is just a UI over top of specific services. Do we need a static IP address, a load balancer? So we'll go here. And again, you can see that it is simple abstractions. I wonder if this is even using ALB underneath, or if it's just using classic load balancer. It could just be using classic load balancer, whether we need a bucket or a disk. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Okay, so go back here and we'll just wait for this to provision. So we'll wait however long that takes, okay? And while I was waiting there, I was just curious about LightSail for research. So I clicked over here and it's looking like this is for, I guess, if we're working with data science kind of stuff. You see we can launch a Jupyter lab or specific thing. So maybe this is abstracting SageMaker notebooks underneath. So that is kind of interesting there. But it looks very simplistic where, you know, we just choose whether we want to launch a Jupyter lab notebook, okay? So it's nice to see that they have these simpler offerings here, but would I ever use it? I don't know, probably not. VSM Codium, so I think that is just VS Code that is hosted. What is that? This is free open source software binaries of VS Code. So I think it's just to run VS Code. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. And actually, I never knew that they had that there because that could be a good replacement for Cloud9. So I'm actually very curious about this. And so I think I'll go ahead and launch this up. So just say my VS Code. I think the only disadvantage of the service would be that it wouldn't know when to shut down, because the advantage of Cloud9 and these other services that are cloud developer environments is that they know how to shut themselves down after a certain amount of time. So we'll just wait for these both to provision, then we'll take a look, okay? All right, so let's take a look here. And I mean, Joomla is still pending, but let's go take a look at our VS Code environment because that's kind of interesting. So it says it's running. I'll go ahead and launch it. I'm surprised how fast it launched, but I assume that it's probably deploying within a container. So maybe that's the reason why. But I'm just curious if there's another cloud developer environment option for us here. So I guess it now is launching. So maybe it wasn't as fast as I thought it was, but and this one as well, I'm going to give it a refresh because I'm not sure if it should really take that long. Oh, it's running. Okay, so that was a bit misleading, and this one is actually not running, so it's kind of backwards. So here we have terminal, which we can connect to. So I guess I would open it up and provide us the keys. It'd be nice to know what our IP address is and if we can get into this. What can I click into this? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have our connect option, which we have here. We have metrics, we have snapshots, we have storage, we have networking. Networking is probably what we're mostly interested in. Apparently we have a static IP address, so we'll go ahead and copy that. It looks like we get some IPv4 rules, so that's kind of cool. I'm not sure what our default login would be, but I guess we'll find that out here in a moment. So normally what you do is you connect with Bitnami to the connection here, and usually it'll have the password in here when you first launch it up. Usually that's how Bitnami works, but I'm not necessarily seeing that here. So now I'm just kind of curious, like, how do I get into this? Not that it really matters that much, but I'm kind of curious. So what I'll do is take a look here. This instance uses the current default SSH key for your region. So we'll just say Bitnami Joomla default username and password. Okay. So what would it be? AWS. And this is kind of where I feel like it can kind of suck if you can't easily find this. But maybe it'll tell us here. So yeah, here we go. And the default here is user and root. Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and type in user and root. I like it when they actually put it in here because then it feels like it's a bit more secure. That didn't work. So we'll go back and check again. User and root. User, root. The default Bitnami application database username. So is it possible maybe Joomla has like an admin panel? Or sorry, a Joomla admin panel, admin login. URL. Maybe it's administrator. So I'll go to the top here and just say add administrator. There we go. And we'll go back down to here. Again, just guessing. I used to do this stuff all the time. And I'm so glad I don't anymore. But it's also kind of cool to see that these things still exist. And I can't get in this thing. And to be honest, I don't really care. I just wanted to show that we could launch one up, which is the interesting part. The other thing is I want to know is, has this thing started up? So we'll wait for this to launch. And while this is waiting, I'm going to see if I can still get into this for fun, okay? Oh, by the way, this says username and then database name. So I actually wasn't paying attention very clearly because I thought that was the password. So maybe the password is still somewhere and we just have to find it. So I'm going to just keep trying to look for it, okay? Oh, and they're showing us instructions here. So maybe I just need to go down a bit. So this is for Bitnami. And this is what I thought. I thought it'd be somewhere here. And the password is maybe this. So I'll go ahead and try that. They used to just print it out to the screen. Actually, if it's in a file, that's actually smarter because I think that would be more appropriate, to be honest. But let's see if that works. So we'll go ahead and do this. Let's say Bitnami application cat. I'll just cd into my home directory. We're actually already there. And we don't have that. Oh, yeah, it's right there. Okay, so we'll say Bitnami application password. And there it is. Okay, so we can get in. So we'll go back here. And I'm going to assume it's the administrative panel that we have to go to. And it was what? This one was... scroll up here. The default is user. And we'll type in user. And then my password here, I'm just looking off screen, was V2. If you're doing this, you're not doing my password. Just remember that. Colon MQHGSNYKM. Okay, we'll go ahead and hit login. And look at that, we're inside of Joomla. Cool. And we have this whole content system. This actually looks a lot better since I last used it. Hey, how are you doing? I'm doing great. And you can complain about Joomla as much as you want, but they have really built a great ecosystem over the time, and it just does work. So there we go. We can go there and go back to our homepage. And maybe it's not published. We'll go back. Maybe there's a way to publish this in a particular place. Let's feature it. Sure. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out how to get it on the homepage. Not that it really matters again. There we go. It's featured. And yeah, so there we go. We got Joomla. And is this running now? We'll refresh this again. Okay, launch it. I think it might be ready now. And so we'll go over here, and we now have VS Code. Is it a nice experience? No. Definitely not. I'm not sure what these options are. We have microphone and some other options. It almost kind of feels like we're running in a, I don't know, like, what's with this weird bar and stuff like that? I don't understand. And also, like, we'd have to clone our repo into here, so it wouldn't, I guess we could just connect it, say allow. And to finish authenticating, navigate to GitHub and paste that code in. Okay, so there's probably a way to do this. I'm not sure if I'm that interested in figuring this out. I just wanted to see what would happen if I launched that up. So that's cool. We'll go ahead and delete our virtual computer. Yeah, because it feels like a virtual computer. It doesn't feel like I'm connected in the browser. It feels like I'm looking through a virtual window into a computer for that. So it's not exactly what I was hoping for. I thought I was getting like a browser version of it, but it's not. But it's interesting that we have those as an option. And I'm sure we understand exactly what, go back to virtual computers, what the Jupyter Lab notebook is. So there's nothing interesting there. So yeah, that's cool. Let's go back over to our instances and tear this down. And I think there might be configurations where you can back certain things with a database. So I don't want to create another one here. I just want to see if we can explore that really quickly. Not sure why this is so slow, as we just clicked it. Here we go. And so there might be a way, it says app plus OS. There might be a way to get something backed by a database. So if we go down here, is there like a database option? I don't see it. So I could have swore there were ones where it would have the database as well, but yeah. And you can also launch a Windows server. So, you know, if you need a Windows server, that's another example. But yeah, I think that covers LightSail. So we'll see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.